the headlines today in pretty much every newspaper after the back of this incredible, intriguing Manchester derby was what happened in the tunnel afterwards. We had Pizzagate in 2004, and this was a big row over a bit of spilt milk, it seems, between the Manchester City and Manchester United dressing rooms, after which the two clubs have been asked for their observations by the FA after that tunnel altercation. Are these just the ones that we hear about? Because it doesn't seem to happen very often, Alan.
No, I think if it happens, you hear about it normally. It's very hard to hush things up these days. There's always somebody that's going to spill the beans, if not the milk, you know. I mean, I think it's a bit of a fuss about nothing. In terms of what Jose Mourinho was complaining about, I think Manchester City were well entitled to celebrate. You know, they were in their dressing room, the music was blaring, they were having a little sing. If Mourinho can hear it in his office next door, so be it. I think you've got to suck it up and just get on with it.
Well,
I remember going back, we played against Wimbledon and they'd come up to Highbury and they'd be tearing the door off the away dressing room and they'd leave a right state in there. And we thought at the time, bang out of order. And I think that was, but that's on a different level entirely. I mean, Mourinho has got this thing about showing respect. He said it to Antonio Conte, didn't he? He thought at Chelsea he celebrated the victory too much, but I think that's just a reflection of how frustrated he is when his team loses.
There's a problem there at that, because you come at the main tunnel, you come into the dressing rooms, and Sir Alex's area is just there, and the away dressing room is just there. So I think that was Jose's office just here, and further on is the home dressing room. So I think he's maybe come up there and heard the singing and shouting, which I can understand. I really can, because I would like to think if there were players like that to say, listen, we've won it, get changed, shut up, and let's get on the bus. Because what you don't want to give, if that was Sir Alex, he'd be going, the next team talk, do you remember what they were doing in there when we got beat? So that would be, for Sir Alex, that would be his power, anger, motivation for the next game, hearing people singing and dancing and cheering. So from my point of view, if I were that lucky to take a team like that, and there I go, let's get changed, get on the bus, because I think he did the same. You know, Guardiola, his staff were wanting to go and celebrate, he went, no, let's get away. So I think if the rest of the team had behaved like that, just got on the bus and went away, two things would happen. You wouldn't have got the milk, which is nothing. But I think it gives ammunition for the manager.
But maybe there was ammunition the other way, Gordon, because in the build-up to the game, Jose had been talking about the City players just going down too easily, about committing fouls as soon as there's the turnover.
But in the bigger picture, that's always got to happen.
Maybe there was a little bit of that in their celebrations, though.
No, well, you take it and you go, we've won. We've won now. We don't have to celebrate and dance about. We have won. We have proven that's no us. We're a good team. We now go, bang, we got on the bus, that was enjoyable, lads. If you want to get back to their stadium and sing and dance and all the rest of it, great. But I think when you're in that area, close proximity to the manager's office as well, probably most guys don't know that the manager's office is just there. I think that, as I say to you, I think that's energy. If the Man United players are sitting through there, if I was going to do anything now, I would say, do you remember what happened on Saturday? They think they've won the league. They think it's easy. They've enjoyed coming here. Let's do something about this. Every time you make a run so far, think about that. Every time you go and jump for a header, like I could, bullet in the back of the net because they were enjoying themselves.
Have you been on the wrong end of this before, yourself?
Yeah, a long time ago, but I'm just thinking that'd be my mentality, because people need something to drive them on to win games. So you take everything you can.
So you've
as
been
a
wound
manager,
up by these
I would be
celebrations.
saying, here.
Come on, give us an example.
Oh, no, it regularly happened when I was at Dundee when the two teams who get promoted, we got beaten at Clydebank and St Mirren. Matter of fact, Sir Alex was the manager then, and we hear the singing and dancing next door, and it's a horrible, horrible thing to hear that singing and dancing next door. That's for sure.
Not many would have done it at Highbury, would they?
Yeah, I mean, not many. Of course it hurts when you hear it, but they'd just been to their closest rivals and
I've got
taught them a football lesson. And I think players do celebrate a bit more now, don't they? I mean, even if it's a bog-standard game, there's selfies in the dressing room and all sorts going on, aren't there? So it's a different culture now. Whether Pep tried to calm them down a little bit, maybe he did, maybe he was off doing his press work and so he wasn't there when the boys were going at it.
Do you think there's potentially some significance in that celebration as well? They think maybe they've achieved something there?
Yeah, they would have thought, well, this was a big test and we've come out with flying colours and we're a long way ahead of these boys. I know you can't take anything for granted. We haven't even come up to Christmas yet, but maybe there was that kind of superior feeling from the City lads that they knew that they were head and shoulders above anybody else. You can't get ahead of yourselves, of course you can't, but things are different now, aren't they? Players do celebrate a bit more freely than maybe they used to back in the day.
Would you, in the Arsenal team, you'd be gone when they were celebrating and jumping on Van Nistelrooy and things like that at the end of the game. You remember that game?
Yeah.
That turns...
2004, Pizzagate.
Yeah, that's when Sir Alex would go, right, enough of this. You know, and he would remind them. I wasn't there, but I would imagine through the 9 years I worked with him, that would be it. That would be the thing. He would be... But
of course the gap then was much closer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Sir Alex could do that and produce a reaction. Can Mourinho do with that with that group of players now? Can he make them believe, come on boys, we need to teach City a lesson?
That's a test for them as well.
Now.
So you've got to use every tool. Where you're 11 points behind, you've got to use every tool at your disposal to drag these points back. And sometimes it's up here. And as I said to you, for me, that would be fuel to get their points back and drag them back and go, one day we will get them. We will get them back. Maybe that's just me.
Some sunny day.
Write it down and remember.
Yeah.